If you've been looking into smart sprinklers, the Aiper IrriSense 2 might be the one that finally makes the category make sense. Now, I originally checked out the original IrriSense back about a year ago, which was a cool idea, but it kind of felt like a premature first attempt. This new version feels like what the first one should have been from the start. So today we're going to check out to see if the Aerosense 2 is just a better smart sprinkler or if it's actually worth buying. So without further ado, let's jump in the video. First things first, I do want to thank Aiper for sending this out to me for a full, honest review, but I do not allow any other types of sponsorships on any of my channels. Now, like I mentioned, I checked out the Aerosense original, OG, which I might reference the OG in this video so you know what I'm talking about. But this new one is definitely what the first one should have been. They should have waited to make sure the app was ready. The hardware was pretty much there for the most part. There's a couple little minor cons that do have in the second one, but man, the app is 1,000 times better. And that's what should have been in the first one. So if you've been looking at smart lawn sprinklers, this is just a bona fide sprinkler that you set up in your yard. Now, understand, you gotta plan this out. You gotta have the right placement. You gotta have a water source. You gotta have a power source. And you want to put it in a place where it's not gonna be in the way of, especially like for me, I don't want to move it just because I need to mow or need to do something in my yard. It's got to be in the right place. Now, unfortunately, the reach on here is not amazing. It's okay. They mentioned about 39 feet, but that's a big asterisk, meaning that you have to have the right water pressure, you got to have the right flow, gallons per minute. And I talked about this and tested out some different things in my very first review video. So if you guys want to see the things that I've did to get further distance, you can check out that video right in the top right corner or in the description below. Watch that video afterwards. And one of the minor cons I have with this is that pressure gauge that's built into this is way off from what I believe is the honest pressure, because what I'm testing is nowhere near what this is showing up. Plus that thing's all over the place depending on how far I'm throwing the water rather than the water that's coming in. But digress, back to that 39 feet. I was able to get that because I kind of knew what I needed to get that distance, but they did include a new, I'm going to call it a tip or a new valve that you can replace that has a narrower opening that's supposed to get further distance, but in my testing, it did not get a further max distance. It got further distances only when comparing it to the other valve when the distance is physically marked in the app. So if you mark the app, say whatever it is, you just a little dot in the app, so it's not actually feet, but say you mark it at 10 feet with valve number 1, you would get 11 feet with valve number 2. But the overall distance that you could get out of it at the furthest dot is still around that 39 feet. Sometimes, depending on the wind, I got 40, 41 feet with the wider valve, not the narrower valve, so keep that in mind. Now, like the first generation, you can map out the yard, you can tell it where you want the water to be sprayed, and unlike the first one, you can have now up to 10 maps. Now understand that's 10 maps at that one location, so inside the app you're going to see these maps on top of each other, but if you want different schedules or you want to be able to edit one of the maps, you can now do that. Unlike the previous one, there was so much trouble every time you wanted to change something, you had to delete the entire map and redo it, or if you made a mistake, you had to redo the entire thing. Now you can edit, you can have multiple maps, so you can have your flower beds watered at one time of the day, you can have your grass watered at another time of day with a lot more water, including a line mapping ability. So if you have flower beds that you specifically only want to water and not the surrounding, you can do it in a line or one specific point. Up to 10 different maps, and you can set schedules up for all those depending on what you want to water and what time that you want to water. Now one of the other things I mentioned in the first video was that it would be nice if you were able to move it to a different location and use the little orange triangle things that you're supposed to put down into the ground. And say you have multiple triangle things, that way you know exactly where you mapped it from. Well, they don't sell extra ones, but because I did come from the first OG, I do have two of them, and I also have two power sources, two wires. So I can disconnect everything, move it to a different location, and remap it or have an additional map there. But understand, when you're looking at the map in the app, all those same maps, even though it's a different location, is all going to be layered on top of each other. So yes, you can have multiple locations because now you can have up to 10 maps. Just understand, in the app, it's all going to look like one location. Obviously, moving it is not that easy, especially since you're supposed to screw these things down. You have the little orange thing down there. You have power wire, you have the hose, the water wire, and it's just a lot to move. But if you wanted to, say that you do have a second power source and second hose, you can identify the specific location with those little orange things. If you can get your hands on any of them, maybe you can 3D print them. That way you can remember the specific spot where you mapped it from. And now in the second version, they do sell some solution that you can install in the bottom of the machine. Unfortunately, it's not available in a lot of states, including the state that I'm in, but I was still able to get my hands on one to test it out for you guys. And it's not a fertilizer. They call it it's a brand called Soil Plus, which is a microbial organic soil amendment, whatever that might be, which the app says it recommends to apply 6 times during the vegetation growth period. But in one session of using this, I used 80% of that bag. Obviously, it's going to depend on the size of the area that you're applying the solution to, and it won't let you apply the solution to a mapped area that is a line or a point. It has to be a whole complete area like a lawn. Obviously, I've only applied this once and I haven't had it long enough to tell you what it's done. I'll update the pinned comment down below and description if I see any results out of this one bag. Otherwise, this stuff is pretty expensive. But then again, that so is the smart sprinkler. And one thing to note, so you don't make the same mistake that I did, once you activate the solution in the app, there is a specific solution mode. It's not going to dispense it in your normal irrigation. You have to specifically go into the solution task mode and actually run it from there. And we're seeing in the future if they have other solutions or fertilizer that you can install in here. I think just watering it on a schedule is a huge plus. As long as you make sure you have a plan and a placement for this, is definitely worth it. My only minor cons with the second version, even though they've come a long way, I wish there was some way that it could distribute the water better. Right now, most of that water is being shot out at its furthest point, wherever you mark it out in the app. And then as it runs during the cycle, it's going to slowly move in every pass. That way the entire yard gets an even amount of water. I would like to see like multiple valves or multiple holes where you can water a lot more and broadcast a lot better, rather than just having one single output. Or maybe even a new tip or valve with multiple holes. That would be even better and cooler and more affordable. But overall, some great improvements here. And if you're looking for a solution to water your water beds and flowers, then this is perfect. And if this is for a lawn, you just want to make sure you have the right plan, placement, and distance to really get the most use out of this. And if you're not getting the distance that you think you should be, up to that 39 feet, I did do some different tests in my very first video that you can try out to see if you can increase your distance. So check out that video right now, which should show up on your screen. All right, guys, that's going to do it for me. I hope this video was helpful. See you guys on the next video.